better win because I told you they're losing the next two. After Pittsburgh, they are definitely losing to Detroit and San Francisco, so they better get a win.
Yeah, in fairness to Justin Fields, he's been pretty impressive.
Thank you,
this
Coach.
year. So he's 10% better in completion percentage. He's significant. He's only had, what, I think one interception?
Yes.
So it's like.
But it's
good.
compared to what he was.
Yeah, but you got to give him a ton of credit for it. He's got a 98 quarterback rating. Like every single category, he's been so much better than he has been. Now, he's got the potential to go back to Justin Fields mode, but he's doing what the Steelers need him to do. And when they have the defense that they have, as long as you're not losing the game for your team and doing enough to put him in position to win, that's all they're asking for from him right now, and he's doing a great job with it. To me, Dallas is a team that comes in. They've got multiple injuries to key players on defense, so that will open up some opportunities for the Steelers offense. And it's really about whether or not Dak can carry this team. And that's what it has to be. They can't run the ball effectively or consistently, and they're not going to do that against Pittsburgh at all. The question that really gets answered this weekend is, can Dak be the guy that they're hoping he can be and that they paid him to be? Because that's really their only chance throughout, not this game, but the rest of the season.
We don't score these types of segments, but if we did, 3 points, Coach.
Oh,
3 points?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it is. If
Just
the
'cause he
question
supported
is,
Nick's cow.
the question is, can Dak and CeeDee get this done essentially by themselves? And if they can, you have to respect it. They are playing right now the best defense in football. Certainly one of the 3 or 4 best defenses in football, but statistically, you can argue the best defense. They are down.
We know Nick doesn't believe that, because Nick is also about who they play, and he knows he doesn't think that he doesn't think that the Falcons are this great team. He doesn't think that the Broncos are this great team. He doesn't think, the Colts are the great team. I know they lost them, but they still played them defensively, obviously. So we know that the Steelers, who they've been playing and beating, he does not think that those are all great teams, which he always points out when talking about other teams that he wants to support or not support. So this is done in a way now where if Dallas does win, it's they just beat the best defense. And I'm not saying that the Steelers are a good defense or a bad defense. That's not the point of it. It's just to say that as Brew always says, we're moving the goalpost here.
Their 2 best defensive players, they being Dallas. Going into the game what Dallas can't do, and you know what they're going to try to do. So that means they are going to Pittsburgh spending the whole week saying, stop CeeDee Lamb from killing us, and we win the game. If Dak and the Cowboys are able to overcome that, if Mike McCarthy can get his team ready better than Mike Tomlin, you have to respect it.
But I respect it, and it'll be a good win. Will it move them from the common tier? No. Would it for you?
I think at some point, we can't just say the Steelers aren't good.
No, they're good.
And they're okay. They're fine.
And so when going to Pittsburgh, when you are way undermanned as far as your blue chip talent, and winning the game is impressive. It would be impressive. So I'm not saying.
With everybody also knowing that you really only have one pitch.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It would be a good win, but you asked, would it allay my concerns?
Yeah.
I don't think they move into being a NFC contender if they beat the. They still can win. That division's up for grabs. But.
Yeah, listen. Oh, man, we could take this in so many different directions. He's saying it would be an impressive win, but then why wasn't it an impressive win for the Eagles over the Saints, right? Why was that not an impressive win, being down your blue chip players like Devontae and A.J. Brown? So that's where it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, quite frankly. But yeah, listen, if the Cowboys win this game, right, it also depends on how they win this game. If Justin Fields fumbles the ball 3 times, right, and throws 2 interceptions, well, then it's not that impressive. If Justin Fields puts up 350 yards and 3 touchdowns and the Cowboys still win and they torch that defense or whatever, well, then, yeah, it would be wildly impressive. It all depends on the context. If they win 10-9, the Cowboys, Does that quiet your concerns? Like, no, it would not, right? Like it wouldn't at all. So again, it all depends, because for the Steelers, they are a defensively led team, but I'm trying to think of who the who the fourth team they played. They played the Broncos, they played the Colts, they played the Falcons. I forget what the fourth team is that they played. And so I just think it's going to be one of those interesting things, because I don't know who the Steelers are 100% right now. I honestly, I really don't. I'm not saying that they're bad, by no means. I think that their defense is probably pretty good, because it's always been good with Mike Tomlin. So I would say that this is probably, it's safe to say that they are a top defense, but are they the top defense, right? Like that is more interesting, the question. But to try to answer the question more directly for the Cowboys, it's like, what would they have to do? It depends on what lens you're looking at it. Like Mangini said here, can Dak be the leader? Can he carry this team? And like I keep saying, any quarterback should be able to carry a team for at least a game or so at any moment. And any quarterback who can't carry a team in a game or so should also be given grace as well, right? Like I don't expect these quarterbacks to be able to consistently win. Just like Matthew Stafford deserves praise for why he was able to win with no weapons with the Rams and no O-line versus the 49ers. He also deserves grace for being rocked by the Cardinals, right? Because it's just, you're a really not good quarterback when you can't even do it once or twice or three times. I don't know what the hard number will be. So again, it really all depends, but that's why it's more of like a regular pattern. Can you reliably depend on your quarterback to carry your team when the situation is less than ideal? Yes or no? But it doesn't have to be every time. So it's like, even if the Cowboys lose this game or Dak doesn't play particularly well, it's not an automatic, oh, you can't do anything. But he does have CeeDee Lamb. He does have his offensive weapons. I think he's down one wide receiver, but he still has his number one target. So again, the question would be then is, how good is this defense? Because it could be, well, this defense is just, too good that you need more. But with that saying, this is the kicker. People say that Dak Prescott is top 2, top 3 quarterback, right? And so, well, then if that is the case, ask yourself, what would the other, who people think are the top quarterbacks, the Patrick Mahomes of the world, would they be able to win? Would they be able to at least put up good offensive production? And the answer would be yes, they would. So again, if you're viewing Dak through the lens of a true top 2, top 3 quarterback, well then, yeah, he probably should look pretty darn good in this situation. The thing is you would give him the benefit of the doubt more so if he loses, because you would then be able to point and say, well, look at all these other games that he was able to overcome, lack of weapons, lack of CeeDee, lack of whoever. But you can't point to that. You can with, say, a Patrick Mahomes. You can with a Lamar Jackson. You can with a Josh Allen. You can with a Joe Burrow. You can point to those things more regularly. So if they fail in a less than ideal circumstance, you can't just say, well, they always do that. Whereas with someone like Dak, more regularly fails under these circumstances. But I do expect him to be a good enough quarterback to be able to succeed in some of these moments, but not all of the time. So again, to me, it depends on what lens are we viewing this game through, and also how is it lost, right? If the defense still holds Justin Fields to a pretty good game and the score is pretty low, well, then there really should be minimal excuses for Dak Prescott to not, because again, Dak Prescott's not down all his weapons. He's not down all of these things. And quite frankly, if you want to say that he doesn't have a good run game, Dak Prescott deserves some of that blame for taking all the money in the world, right? Like that part of it would be then on him as well. So again, it's all interesting. It really is. I'm excited for this game, definitely, and I'm happy that it's a Sunday night, primetime 8:20 game. But yeah, because I still have question marks around Justin Fields, quite frankly. I've made lots of videos talking about that. Justin Fields impressed me in the loss versus the Colts, but I'm not like, oh yeah, man, Justin Fields and this Steelers team, they're cooking. Let's go. They're unbeatable. They're unstoppable. Like I don't view the Steelers that way either. So I think again, it's just at this point I don't 100% know who the Steelers are. I'm pretty confident who I think the Cowboys are. So it's like it'll be interesting because if the Steelers end up proving to be a legitimately really good team, well then yeah, the Cowboys winning this game would be very impressive and some of the concerns would be quieted. But if the Steelers end up not being as good as maybe some people think they are and the Cowboys beat them, well then it would have no business quieting any of your concerns. So I think really more than ever this season, the teams have just really been they have more question marks than answers. Last year, it felt like a lot of these teams had a lot of answers, right? And less question marks, whether it be the Ravens, whether it be the 49ers, the Chiefs, whatever it may be. This year, more than ever, I just have so many legitimate question marks about so many of these teams, whether it's the Bills, the Chiefs, the Raiders, the Ravens, not the Raiders, the Ravens, the Steelers, like, you know, the Eagles, even the Bucks, like the Falcons. There's so many of these teams where I'm just like, I don't know who you are. Like, who are you? Are you good? Are you not good? Are you resilient? Can you take a punch? Can you come from behind? Can you run the ball or not? You know, do you have a good passing game or not? Is your offensive coordinator good or not? Right? Like, is your defense healthy or not? What's, you know, like what's actually going on here? And yeah, the reason why I'm bringing that up is it just makes it harder to answer the question then, what does a win mean and what does a loss mean? And I'm struggling that even when because you even jump forward in a segment that I had already did, the Bengals versus the Ravens. I don't know who the Bengals are, so I don't know what a win means for either of the teams, and I don't know what a loss means for either of these teams. So, you know, I think of the Steelers, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just, yeah, it just continues to be difficult, honestly. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Would it quiet your concerns? And if Dak Prescott wins this game, does it prove that he can carry a team? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.